The AYN team are back at it again, with probably the most disorganized Q&A yet, and as always, I'm here to break it down for you. Hello and welcome to Retro Breeze. AYN have done another Q&A, and this one literally came out of nowhere. They announced it, and then they did it early, and the whole thing had been announced and completed by the time I woke up. So I kind of missed the whole thing. I don't know, AYN just seems so completely disorganized, it's unbelievable sometimes. Not only that, they also had a lunch break in the middle of the Q&A. It boggles the mind. But anyway, I'm going to go through every single question and answer from the Q&A and pepper them with my thoughts in the middle as well. By the way, since my last Q&A update, there has actually been quite a lot of information, mostly gameplay videos on the AYN YouTube channel. So be sure to go and check those out if you haven't seen them so far. You'll be able to see the AYN Loki Max playing a bunch of AAA PC games as well as some completely random emulated titles. Anyway, for now, I'm going to get into the questions. As always, I've divided these into sections, and I'm going to leave the questions and answers as unchanged as possible, except for where it will bring a better understanding to the question. And so let's get started, starting with the company and product status. And the first question, what are the remaining challenges in finalizing units? And the answer, we still have challenges on the details of the product spec and build quality and a full testing plan. Now what you see is a fully functional prototype unit, and the good news is we successfully managed the thermal performance to match the best one in the market last week, 75 Celsius at 28 watts for 2 hours with an ambient temperature of 23 Celsius. That was the biggest challenge, but the cost is the thickness needs to go from 20mm to 22mm to guarantee the stable and outstanding thermal performance for the best balance. Whew, just when I thought the Loki couldn't get any thicker, here we are. Anyway, next question. What are your current obstacles preventing full production of all Loki SKUs? From a business scope, we need to control the quality risks, especially the hardware flaw at maximum efforts. Like A, that the shell won't crack after 1 year of usage. Huh, that's pretty funny. B, the device won't halt down because of poor thermal performance. C, the joystick won't have potential drift. Is this drifting really a huge problem? I'm really not convinced. Anyway, number 4, the device won't easily be bricked even after random operation testing. 5, the battery won't have potential risk from charging, aging tests, etc. Next question, why has development taken so long? The answer, Loki was actually the first R&D attempt on an x86 based project. The top 3 design challenges are the high speed, high density, and high power consumption, which make the development take so long. And the second reason is we don't have off-the-shelf reusable IPs and driver designs for all the device-specific peripherals like a converter chip working as a bridge from EDP to MIPI, a standard HID chip working as a bridge from I2C to USB, a heat pipe and fan to guarantee enough thermal performance up to 28 watts, and another MCU working as an Xbox gamepad. It was a really tough way for us to undertake, but thanks to all useful suggestions from the community, and the continuous efforts from our engineering team and the supply chain, today we're making Loki close to being an ideal handheld after a long dark period. What does that mean exactly? I kind of get what they mean here by the way that they haven't taken off-the-shelf components, they've actually designed and built their own solutions. This also happened with the Odin Lite, so I understand that. But I don't know, my issue with this answer is just this whole making the Loki be close to an ideal handheld after a long dark period. Do you mean a long dark period of you not providing any information or updates at all? Because if so, well sure. But if you're talking about a dark period for x86 handheld devices, it hasn't been at all. In fact, we've had multiple releases in just the last few months alone. Next question, and this one's very good. Do you think the Loki Zero will be outdated by the time it is released? The answer, no, actually with dual channel RAM enabled, enough heat dissipation and good software service, it won't be outdated that fast. Yeah, that's a good answer, but I do have to say that I do think that there is a very real risk that all of the Loki models will be outdated by the time they launch. I mean, they're already lagging behind so many other 6800U devices. I'm really hoping they can pull that out of the bag with their design and software. Next question, what is the status of the Loki Mini battery processor potential date? Initially, I wanted it for emulation, but Odin Lite pretty much covered most of it. I'm considering whether to go all the way to max instead. The answer, according to the R&D status, Loki Mini should be the last Loki model we release. If you're an Odin Lite owner, I would suggest you get at least the Mini Pro. But Loki Max will give you a big jump on gaming performance while giving the fact that we have the biggest discount to Loki Max for all Odin backers. I think this is pretty accurate. I don't think that the lowest AYN Loki is going to match the Odin Lite in tangible gameplay differences, when it comes to emulation at least. Another great question, are you sticking with the same manufacturing part supplier relationships you had from the Odin? If not, have you done your due diligence on the new partners for the Loki? And the answer, this is a very nice question I have ever been asked. Apparently, we need a different strategy on QA systems in different business development stages. Now we have introduced a broader supplier chain into AYN, and we will have a new dedicated supplier quality manager for the Loki, who will go even further into details, not only on due diligence but also on 8D quality management. Good stuff. I'm really glad to hear this because AYN has had a lot of issues with our suppliers in the past with the Odin screens, so I'm glad that they're being proactive on this. And I actually said something similar in my last Q&A as well. The next section is communication. First question, will we see Loki non-max gameplay anytime soon? Yes, this week we plan to release some video on Loki. Loki actually keeps the same pace as the Loki Max. As you may know, 6600U shares the same footprint as 6800U, and it shares a similar BIOS design. Cool, so regular Loki videos should be coming soon, and it sounds like it's going to be pretty similar to the Loki Max. When can we expect a first look and gaming videos for the Loki Mini AMD? And the answer, around the end of this April. Next question, when do you think we will see review units go out, especially the lower end models like the 6600U, 7320U, 8505 and the i3? Everyone knows how a 6800U handheld works, and I think everybody would like to see how the others perform. The answer, 6600U should be very soon. I mentioned that it will keep the same pace as 6800U, and 8505/i3 will be the next one we focus on. 7220, 7320 comes last. I think it's a good point. Actually, I feel like this high-end x86 handheld market is extremely boring. Maybe that's just me, but all of them have 6800Us, and they will perform like fairly close to one another, so I'm definitely interested to see, especially the i3 model. Next question, can you eventually give us information sheets like these that Aya made for the Air? I'll put that on screen. They're very informative, straightforward, and can be posted on your website, specifically the battery life and in-game FPS TDP information. That would answer a lot of questions I see here posted every day. And the answer, good suggestion and thank you so much. I will ask the test team to make information sheets with the battery life and in-game FPS TDP information specifically. Cool, I think that's a great thing to do. It's really difficult to compare a device like one of the Aya devices with the Loki when we have literally no information to do so. So this will be interesting, especially when it comes to things like battery life and performance versus price. Next question. Is it possible to have a weekly basis update schedule similar to the one we had for the Odin in the Indiegogo campaign in both Discord's announcements, and also on the main website? This way I feel like most news would be spread better for every Loki backer, even if they only use Discord or are outside of this space. This is a really great question because I'm positive there are still Loki orderers who have no idea what they're getting. The answer, we will accept this precious suggestion from you, but regular updates will be dropped every 2 weeks by email, Discord, and our website. Indiegogo can't be used to update the Loki as it is for Odin only. Fair enough, I will definitely hold AYN to that. Email update every 2 weeks. Next question, is it possible to just email backers with information updates? The answer, yes, possible. We will try to sort the backer list and make it happen thereafter. However, I have a problem with this because nobody backed the Loki. Remember, nobody backed this like a campaign. This was a purchase that we made. So we've bought this item, or at the very least, we've pre-ordered it. So I don't like the use of the word backer and backer list. You mean buyers. Anyway, next question. If there are any more delays, will we be alerted in a timely manner? Being completely ignored on Friday was very disappointing. Just some context to that, they said that there would be a new video of the white Loki on Friday, and it just never happened. It has now appeared, but I was one of the people that was like up checking the Discord waiting for it, and it just never happened. And the response? Yes, just sorry for my poor time allocation on a timely report the first time on last Friday. And if there are any more delays, I think I would keep this suggestion in my mind. At least we need an announcement on the delay and an answer on what happened. It's not a huge deal, like it's really not a big deal, especially when it comes to like a gameplay video on YouTube. But I think it's good to just say, hey guys, we can't do this today. So yeah, I hope they do that. Anyway, the next section is hardware. And this first answer might just blow your mind. The question, what is the TDP of the i3 1215U and the 7320 going to be capped at? Also any estimates of battery life. 7220, the Loki Mini, and the 7320, Loki Mini Pro, were started on at the end of 2022 and is still under hardware schematic design and PCB layout. That is absolutely insane. So the Loki Mini Pro and the Mini don't even exist. They are still in the hardware design phase. I think that we've talked about AYN's kind of messing around with the Loki launch so much already in my previous Q&As, but this is icing on the cake. Sure, the Loki and the Loki Max might actually be in progress, they might be working, and we have some videos, but all those buyers that bought the Loki Mini and the Mini Pro, people like the Fox, for example, their device is miles away. There's no way this is launching Q1 2023, and I would say there's no way it's releasing Q2 either. If they're still picking the PCB design, there's no way. This is absolutely insane and really, really bad. Anyway, let me continue with the answer because there's a bit more. Since the TDP of both models, Mini and Mini Pro, runs from 8 to 15 watts, it is way less power consuming than Loki and Loki Max, which is 15 to 28 watts. So roughly we can expect the battery life to be 2 to 3 times longer, 4 to 6 hours typically, but it really depends on which game you are running. So yeah, I think I've said my piece on this particular point. I think it's absolutely disgraceful that they're still in the hardware schematic design phase on these devices. Again, this is not a campaign, it's not a project, it's a product that people have bought. So the fact that it doesn't even exist, this just happens over and over again it seems, and I'm really tired of it, I'm gonna be honest. Ooh, gosh, that's emotional for me. Next question. Why has there been another motherboard designed? Will the Loki and Loki Max come out in Q1 and the rest in Q2, or will we have another delay? Has the case design been chosen? So just some context on this, they mentioned earlier in the chat that they had redesigned the motherboard for the Loki Max, and this was very confusing, believe me. I thought we were far beyond motherboard design phase. The answer? The original EVT board was mainly for sharing the same Odin shell, but so many people requested big sticks for Windows games. Again, can we have some proof of this? Sorry, I haven't seen a single proof of this, and they keep saying it. Anyway, and we fully understand why it weighs so much in the design consideration. So we changed the industry design to give this possibility, while we can get some other benefits like more room, and less challenge for heat dissipation, and more room for both speakers for audio quality. The shell design will be finalized on this week. We still have some work on improving the final thermal performance, which is a key factor to start the mold. Fair enough. I'm not against it having big sticks, and actually I've really come to like the new Loki design. I just wish I knew where they were getting this info from, but hey, whatever. I'm glad that their design decisions have led to some benefits for the product as well, some other benefits. Next question. How different is the 720p screen in the Loki Zero compared to the others? Will it consume less energy, aka giving more battery life? Literally speaking, it just consumes a little bit less power than 1080p for the screen itself. However, since the amount of pixels of 720p is roughly 40% of 1080p, it consumes way less power for rendering game videos. Cool, good stuff, makes sense. Next question. Is the screen in the Loki close to the V3 Odin, or is it a better panel? The answer, the Loki will have the same V3 screen as the Odin. Since Windows has a very advanced tool to calibrate the screen for better color accuracy, people can expect a better color performance. Fair enough. I'm not sure I necessarily think that's a valid point though, because as the manufacturer you should be calibrating the screens from factory and not leaving it up to the kind of OS to do it. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. Anyway. Next question. Is the Loki Mini going to have a bigger battery size option? It seems the odd man out considering that all the other Loki models have 40 watts at least. And the answer is I think yes to this question, and we should allow Mini users to upgrade the battery size before shipping. Cool, that's good stuff. I think that's a good idea. Next question, similar. Can we get a larger 40 watt hour battery in the Loki AMD Mini, even as an upgrade option? As all Loki now share the same case and we're not getting a slim Mini, there's no need for the smaller 26 watt hour battery, which is just not enough. And the answer, yes, I answered this question above. Since all Loki models share the same ID and thickness, we will give this battery upgrade option to Loki AMD Mini for sure. I hope this gesture makes a lot of users happy while they kept waiting for this model for such a long time. Really want to say thanks here. I'm just not going to comment on that. Alright, next question. Does the 6600U drain the battery as much as the 6800U? Answer, no, 6600U should be less power hungry than 6800U. FYI, 6600U has 6 EUs, while 6800U has 12 EUs. Alright, next question. Will the motherboard BIOS be unlocked on all models to control RAM speed and overclocking? RAM speed overclocking will make electronic devices have big stability risks, and the room for overclocking actually varies from device to device. For Loki, since the RAM speed is fine-tuned to be the best match for each of the models, basically we're sorry to say, RAM speed overclocking is strictly prohibited in BIOS settings for all models. Makes sense. Next question, how's the total system power draw at different TDP, like 15 watt and 28 watt? And the answer, I will answer this question later on, after we can have the information sheets ready for full game list. TDP, resolution, frame rate, settings, overall power consumption. Next question, does Loki use the same locking pin and button size height as the Odin? I would love an opportunity to reuse my custom buttons from Odin, but I think not. And the answer is, they're different after conferring with our colleague again. The ABXY button is a little larger than the Odin's. We would not suggest you to use. Wouldn't suggest that you use your custom buttons that you had on the Odin. Final question in this section, will any repair services be offered for any Loki products? And the answer, yes, definitely, all in caps. That's good to hear. I just hope they cover shipping costs for warranty repairs, but we'll see. The next section here is software. First question, how's the SteamOS support if it has been tested? And if it has been tested, how's the Intel 1215U working on it? If not SteamOS, then Linux in general. Reminder, the 1215U does not exist yet. The answer, I think we will try to support SteamOS on AMD 6600 and 6800 first from now on, and then try and gather as many design inputs as possible from the community. We have enrolled some skilled programmers into this company, dedicated for this plan actually. But it is a little too early to predict what the plan is for 1215U at this moment, because it doesn't exist. But I hope we can support SteamOS on all Loki models one day in the future. It is our dream the same as you guys. Next question. Since AYN said to support SteamOS, will AYN make an effort to upstream the driver for controller, LED control, and gyro so Loki can run anything in Linux besides SteamOS? That's any Linux distribution besides SteamOS. I'm also very curious about this. And the answer is, yes, make LCC, aka the Loki Control Center, run seamlessly across multiple OSs was the initial plan when we started the design. We would try to make custom driver to support Linux for device-specific peripherals like controllers, LED controls, and gyro as you mentioned and suggested. Don't worry, and I want to claim here again, I will never make AYN a company that deliver products with crappy hardware and software and customer service, especially for the software. I think it is the bridge to connect the end user experience and good company reputation. I keep persuading the company to invest on software R&D in the long run. That's really great to hear, and I'm genuinely really happy to hear that, because I think it's true. You can have the best, most powerful device in the world, but if the customer service is bad or the software is bad or both, you're just not going to get that much out of the device. For something similar to that, check out my GKD Mini Plus review, because that's a device that actually has really powerful hardware, but it's just pretty much bunk in every other regard. And with some better software and a bit more R&D going on, it might have been a lot better. Anyway, next question. Will TDP be adjustable from SteamOS? It would be great to have this feature. The answer, yes, Loki Control Center will be available for SteamOS. We planned this feature on day one. Excellent, great news. Will the AYN software shown in the video from a week ago also be available in Linux? Yes, design constraint from day one. Loki Control Center should be a multi-OS friendly, which was supposed to support Linux. That's really great news. I'm really happy to hear that. And same question again about the Loki Control Center being available for Linux, and then will there be an official SteamOS image for the Loki? Yes, the LCC will be available for Linux, and there will be an official SteamOS image for AMD Loki as well. Just too early to say whether it's viable for Intel or i3 at this moment, but we will try all the efforts to make it possible if SteamOS won't be unfriendly to Intel. Good stuff. Next question. Has there been any testing with SteamOS and GameScope in general with the Loki Max? Yes. Steam games will be planned according to your requirements. People can suggest game lists and request features on SteamOS specifically. I'm not quite sure what they mean there by these game lists and requests. Maybe requests for them to make videos or something? But I hope they show some SteamOS compatibility videos soon. That would be really cool. Next, does dual booting the OS void warranty? And the answer, it's just a software application territory, but I don't think it will be an official support, so they're not going to officially support it. However, I think we would give the possibility by means of building the sponsorship with dual OS developers, the similar way as the Windows on ARM project for Odin. So that's the project Valhalla that Odin had. AYN basically sponsored that project so that you could run Windows on the Odin. So good stuff, good to hear. I'm glad they're going to invest in that. And I hope that means that all their drivers and everything will be available for Linux as well. Next question. Will there be a feature to be able to turn off the onboard controller when you are connecting the unit to a TV, and will this feature please be brought over to the Odin? The answer, yes, Loki will have this feature supported. I've seen many people request this feature to turn off the onboard controller when connecting to the TV. Yeah, it is a nice feature to have. You would think it wouldn't be a big deal, but actually it is. It's really important in my opinion. So glad to hear that they'll do that, although they didn't necessarily answer whether this is actually going to happen on the Odin, but I hope it does. Next question, will Loki products have an ongoing software development? The answer, yes, we just demonstrated the first edition of Loki Control Center. More features and functions are still ongoing, and as I have stated before, software development will be long-term investment in the long run. Good stuff. And the final question for software, can a custom keyboard be built into the LCC instead of the OSK that takes up half the screen, or the accessibility keyboard that is super difficult to type on? The answer, it is Microsoft Windows though. I think you can install some suitable IMEs, which might have good on-screen keyboard support. Good point, I guess. I would kind of like to see them do their own, but that's probably just reinventing the wheel, so yeah. So there's one more section and then one additional question at the end, and this next section is called Odin. And the first question is, when will the new Odin launcher come out? If you don't remember or you haven't seen it, the Odin was supposed to have a game launcher, I think released like last April or something like that. It was announced a long time ago, and there's been absolutely nothing. And so now they say, it's still under development, it is fully working, and I hope we can release the first alpha version in the middle of this March. I think that it hasn't been in development. I mean, I guess it's still under development, but it's probably not being actively worked on because of all the Loki stuff. That's just my guess. I think that after all this time, it's really disappointing to hear that it will be an alpha version to release first. I think they've had so much time on it. And let's be honest, they're probably just ripping a lot of the software from the Retroid launcher anyway. Next question is similar. Are you still working on a new Odin launcher overhaul? And the answer is of course yes, we will drop the first alpha version this March. Final question for Odin. Any future software updates for the Odin still in the pipeline? The issue with CPU throttling without a touch input is pretty major. The answer, yes, we would drop the new game launcher this March as I mentioned above. The golden criteria in AYN to justify a good product will be good ergonomics, good hardware and performance, and good software. And actually the history for a company, history of a product. Typically a hardware, software design, iteration, and innovation, it is all for us. So I guess what they're saying there is that both hardware and software is important to them and it's going to define them as a company, and I agree. So I am really happy they say they're going to continue supporting things like the Odin. Now before I get to the question that is on everybody's mind, I just want to mention there's no Odin 2 talk in this Q&A because they specifically asked people not to ask about Odin 2. So I just want to ask AYN, when are you going to show some more of the Odin 2? Anyway, on to the last question. What is the exact shipping time for all Loki SKUs? And the answer, the mold for all Loki SKUs will start within the coming week. The beginning of this May should be the right shipping window for the Loki and Loki Max, and Loki Zero will be 1 month later. This is what I can confirm for the Loki Zero, Loki, and Loki Max. The current strategy in this company is to make Loki and Loki Max as perfect as possible, and then the design experience and reusable design resources, including molds, bridge chips, thermal solutions, apps across multiple OSs, will be fully mirrored to or integrated to Loki Zero and the Mini or Mini Pro, and then get the rest of the Loki models to be accelerated in the right way. So yep, you heard that right, it is basically delayed again until Q2 now, so the beginning of May. I am still extremely skeptical of that date, and if I were you, I would be extremely skeptical of it too. Everything still seems a bit too flaky to me. I just haven't seen any solid evidence of an actual real finalized working unit. And if they're only just going to order the molds now, well, how do we know how far they are in QA testing those molds, etc.? I just don't see anything really convincing that this is anywhere close to launch, but I hope I'm wrong as always, and I want to support AYN. I still have my pre-order, although I have to say that's getting a little bit sketchy at this point. I'm really not sure about keeping it. Let me know what you think in the comment box below. Do you still have your Loki pre-order? Did you make one in the first place? Are you looking forward to it? Just let me know what you think. This is such a crazy situation, to be honest. So to wrap up this whole thing, I guess I'll say I'm glad that AYN seem focused on software support, because I think that's a lot more important than most manufacturers care to admit. And I'm glad that they did a Q&A, but my goodness, please be more organized next time, AYN. Doing this Q&A with no lead up at all, and then doing it earlier than you said you were going to do it anyway, and then taking a break in the middle of it, it's not, I'm not saying it's like a make or break thing, it's just unprofessional. It's just unprofessional, and I think you should be more professional about it. So anyway, that's it for this video. Again, let me know what you think about all this in the comment box below. I'd definitely love to hear all your thoughts. Check out my previous Loki Q&A videos if you haven't already as well, and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss the next one. This has been Shem from Retro Breeze, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon, and hopefully when I don't have a cold.